I'm going to make a beef with all of these items cooked in a crock pot. It's going to be a very heavy dish to eat, but it's going to taste great. Barley in there, yellow split peas, they'll disintegrate and give a lot of body to it, where the green split pea would be too strong, like pea soup. And red kidney beans and some lima beans. Potatoes, which I'm just going to cut in half, put in there. Carrots, onions, fresh mushroom, bay leaf, and some dried thyme. And any kind of inexpensive stew meat. Whether it's lean or it's fatty, it's going to work in this. And let's get started right away. And of course, it's going to have a nice tomato flavor because I'm putting a quart of fresh made tomato basil sauce into it. This crock pot, the inside comes out and you can saute in it. If you don't have one like this, take a big pan, saute all the vegetables, and then put it into the crock pot. Going to put the meat in first. And as soon as it browns up a little, I'm going to add the vegetables. And when I put the meat in there, I could let this get very hot. It's getting there. It'll quicken the, if I do a few pieces at a time, we'll get color. If you put a lot into your skillet, all of a sudden the meat won't saute, it'll start to boil and you won't get any color. So what you do is you just start it slowly. I mean, you do a little bits at a time. Put a little of the salt and pepper mix on it. The amount of pepper is what you like in there, and then you have that ready. So once this browns, I'll take it out. So it takes a few minutes to get this going like this. But you want to sear the meat. Or you could just throw everything into the pot and everything will cook. But this way you get a little color on the meat, and what will happen is you get that flavor of that sauteed, like, you know, when you put meat on a grill, opposed to just putting it in a saute pan and cooking it. So depends on how you cook it, gives it a different flavor. I don't want to waste time on this film by standing here and doing this, so I would just tell you that get some nice color. So I'll be back to this in about 5 minutes. It's been 4.5 minutes. You can see the color. I've been turning the meat. So this is what you want. You want to see meat with a nice golden brown color like that. Not burnt, nicely seared. So that's taken almost 5 minutes, just for that small amount. And I will continue with more. Now that it's very hot, I can cover a little bit more of the area. And one more shot after that, and that'll do it. Don't forget to season it. Now the second round has only taken 3 minutes. Why? Because your skillet gets very hot and it just browns faster. So the searing of the meat It'll take about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more. And I didn't have to add any more oil. Now that the meat is done, now I'll put a little more oil for the vegetables. And I didn't put the thyme or the bay leaf into with the meat because I think it'll like burn, but I'll be putting it in with the vegetables. And just sweat it up, all the flavor. And while this is cooking, I'll be cutting the potatoes in half. So you don't have to put them in water. We're just going to cut them and put them in here. And also a little salt and pepper in here too. So the bay leaves are in there. And the thyme. So this will take about 2 minutes. Now I would have put celery in there, but since I didn't make a shopping list out and I just went into the supermarket twice today to buy a few things for this, I forgot the celery. So you would put celery in there, about the same amount as the carrot. But I have mushrooms. Not to replace the celery, just to give a nice flavor. Going to put in there some vino. I'm going to put, you can use red, white, sherry, masala, whatever you like. Alrighty, I'm going to put the meat, the potatoes, which I cut in half. You can put them in whole if you wanted to. My tomato sauce. And an equal amount of water. And then I'm going to put all the dry ingredients. I'm going to put 1 cup of each item in there. And then I'll put it into the, matter of fact, I'll put it in there right now. I have it set for 4 hours, and then I'm going to look at it. And this time, I'm not going to put as much liquid. When you cook like this, you really don't reduce it much. So we're going to look at it in a couple of hours. See how everything else is being I'll add everything, the liquid, and then I'll cover it up. the yellow split peas, barley, doesn't matter what size you use, the red beans, and the lima beans, whatever size, it's your preference. I just happen to see that size and no other, and that's why I purchased that. Now we know that the beans and everything need liquid to cook, but you know what? Everything is covered, and in 2 hours I'm going to come back and look at this. I was just going to add water, but I'm not, because it's always easier to add water than it is to take it out. So we cover it up. It's set on high, and I'll be back in 2 hours. So it's been 2 hours, and things are looking pretty good. I added 2/3 of a quart of liquid. As you see, it does need it because the beans and everything will absorb this. And that's it. Now we'll let it go for another 2 hours and the end of 4 hours. And this looks something similar to an item that's called Cholent. But we're going to let it go for another hour. And this is the way I want it, nice and dry. But since it's going to go for another hour, I'm going to add 1 cup of boiling water, which I have on the stove. This is heavy, and that's what I'm looking for. A nice heavy meal. Not that you have to eat a lot of it, but it'll just fill you. Nice color, looks good. So 1 more hour, that'll make it 5 hours, and then we're done. Now we are done. This is now I'm going to take this and put it in little containers, put it in the refrigerator, and have it tomorrow. Let's just look at it. I like that. It's filling right there. Enjoy.